Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video we have my Game Week 10 deadline decisions. This is a weekly series where I discuss your final questions and dilemmas before the deadline and also round up my final team thoughts as well. If you do enjoy today's video, please do smash that like button, and if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe as well. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So guys, as always, let's start with those press conference and injury updates as of Friday afternoon at 3 PM UK time. As I always say, there are often injury updates from the embargoed quotes that come later on Friday, and we'll discuss those on the Saturday deadline stream. Just a small note, the Saturday deadline this week is later because there is no early kickoff. So it's a 1:30 PM UK time deadline, which means the deadline stream will start at 11:30 AM UK time. So you can have a bit of a lie-in if you are someone that likes to do so at the weekend. Let's now discuss those injury updates. So let's start with Fulham and obviously in particular Joachim Andersen. Marco Silva said, things look better. Smith Rowe and Wilson are in contention. Muniz and Chukwueze will be in contention. Jimenez is a doubt. So if you were on like a free hit and were tempted to go there, maybe avoid. And he said Andersen is in contention. Jedi is also out. So I can't confirm to you that Andersen starts, but given that he's in contention, given that the news was always looking quite promising that it wouldn't be a long-term injury, you'd imagine if he's fit and available, he starts. He is so important to that defence. We often have a bit of a cliche motto in FPL with players like Andersen, which is, if they're fit, they probably start. And if they're not, they're probably not included at all. That isn't to say that he might not be taken on the bench if they need him. But given that he's a centre-back, it kind of makes sense to either start or not be there. So maybe I wouldn't buy Andersen this week. But I think if you own him, you certainly start him. It's a great fixture, and we just have to hope. Like, I own Andersen, and I would love him to play in this game. On then another centre-back that a lot of people have that's flagged, on Richards. Glasner said that Richards did train on Friday morning, but he has yet to make a final decision as to whether or not he will start against Brentford. This one I'm feeling a little less confident on, just given that the injury that he had obviously kept him out midweek, which was only a few days ago that they played, or 2 days ago. So this would concern me slightly. And given that they do have some viable backups and that Crystal Palace are so system-based, I'm a little bit more concerned about Richards having a cameo appearance than Andersen. Also maybe slightly concerned about the possibility of starting and being subbed off early. But this is another one where, if you haven't already bought Richards, don't buy him this week. If you own him, I'd be pretty happy starting him. I own both Andersen and Richards. I'm going to start the pair of them and hope that at least one of them starts and does well. And if the other one doesn't feature at all, that'd be great. I'll get someone like Rodon off the bench. So yeah, they're both in contention. They're both available. It's just whether we actually think they'll start. But my guess would be that both do. On Liverpool, Arne Slot said that Ryan, that is Gravenberch, trained with us yesterday. The other two that are injured, which is Isak and Jones, didn't yet. He said probably 99.9% sure they will not be in the squad on Saturday. So if you own Ekatike or a Gakpo, the chances of them starting is obviously a lot higher. Ekatike in particular, you would imagine, would start in the absence of Alexander Isak. On West Ham, not many people care too much, but Nicholas Füllkrug is still out. Nuno did add, by the way, if you've not seen the news recently, I think it came out yesterday around Paquetá, but there is stuff going on behind the scenes off-field with Paquetá, but he did say that he is still going to play on Sunday despite this. So if you own Paquetá, good chance he starts as the false nine. He should be involved at the weekend. On Sunderland, obviously, Alderete, another centre-back that is flagged. And also, a positive update. Labrie has confirmed that Alderete's concussion that he was suffering with is getting better. He said he's trained, no worry. So given that this is it was concussion and it wasn't due to an injury as such, I would imagine the fact that he's trained, I would be extremely surprised if Alderete doesn't start. So I would feel even more confident on Alderete than I would on Andersen and Richards. On Bournemouth, Iraola confirmed that Evan Nilsson has recovered now and he will travel with the squad to Manchester. I still think Krupi starts. And by the way, even once Evan Nilsson's fully fit, it could just be that Krupi Jr. just starts every single game. But if you haven't already bought Krupi and you don't desperately need the funds and you're just buying him because you think he's a great asset, I would be a little bit concerned about his minutes now. Even when Evan Nilsson wasn't in the squad last week, Krupi still only played 69 minutes. So it's one of those where, again, if you need the funds, he's still probably your best cheap forward. But I probably would avoid going there now if you need him on a regular basis. On Arsenal, Martinelli is still out, and Saliba, he said we have to wait and see. Not that we trust Arteta anyway, but there were updates on Havertz, Madueke, and Ødegaard. Apparently all three of them looking to be fit and available post-international break. So the likes of Gyökeres, Saka, maybe even an Eberechieze as well, all of their minutes are in question post-international break. So hopefully they can get us some points before we maybe discuss the possibility of avoiding the Arsenal attack, just going for double up or triple up on the defence. And then finally, Thomas Frank confirmed that Romero, Udogie and Odegaard are all available. Solanke is aiming for a return post-international break. I think those were the major updates as well. Obviously, like I said, feel free to scroll through social media, check out the deadline stream tomorrow for any updates. Let's now go about answering your key questions. So guys, as you can currently see, I'm sat at my desk in my office, and in all honesty, this is where I sit for 10 plus hours per day. Between my 2 YouTube channels and my PhD, I'm a very busy man, and unfortunately, I know that I need something healthy to keep me going, but what ends up happening, because I have cravings and because I lack time, I just resort to really unhealthy snacks, and obviously that does not help the situation. So, do you know what has been an absolute lifesaver? The Huel Black Edition, which I'll hold up right in front of you here. So in front of me, I've got the vanilla, but I also have the chocolate as well. And what this is essentially a nutritionally complete meal that can be made in 30 seconds. I'm going to show you that today. So you'll actually, with your first order, if you use the link down below, you'll get yourself a Huel shaker. All you have to do is add 500 milliliters of water to this. And like I said, I've got the vanilla in front of me, and I'm going to try not to make a mess in my office here. But you just get 2 scoops like that. You can see scoop number 1, and we didn't make a mess. Scoop number 2, we go back in for, and we didn't make a mess. So that's the 2 scoops in. Then you can just put the little attachment on, screw the lid on, which I'm going to try and do again without making a mess in my office. We'll attach that on there. We are just going to simply screw on the lid like that, make sure it's nice and tight, and then we shake. And whilst I shake, I can tell you that the vanilla is my favourite flavour. Hopefully that's not too loud down the microphone. But this contains all of the nutrients that you need. Like I said, it's a nutritionally complete meal, 40 grams of protein, essential fats, carbs, fibre, vitamins, minerals, and more. I'm shaking away from the mic so that it's not too loud. And the vitamin B12 is also extremely useful because it combats tiredness and fatigue, which is something that I do suffer with quite a lot, again, because I'm constantly focusing on doing stuff at my desk in my office. But depending on what you're doing, if you're short on time or you just want a nutritionally complete meal that leaves you feeling full and energized, please do check out the Huel Black Edition, an aggressive shake over here. It massively supports me, and if you use my code RAPTOR and the link down below, you get £10 off on orders over £60. And like I said, you do get a free shaker as well, and this is where we go in for the taste test. Of course, I know exactly what the vanilla tastes like anyway, but we will do it regardless. Perfect. Whilst I'm working, it's easy to sip on, nutritionally complete. Like I said, check it out, the link down below. A massive thank you to Huel, and yeah, get yourself some Huel Black Edition and a nice shaker as well. So guys, a section that we've added to the series this year is would I make these transfers, where I basically do like a traffic light system almost with green, yellow, orange, and sometimes red to say, would I make them? Green is I would. Yellow is I don't mind it. I'm not going to massively put you off. Orange is I probably wouldn't make the transfer if it was me. And then red would normally be I would absolutely not make the transfer. So none of the ones that you've asked for today have I said that I absolutely wouldn't make. It is a bit tough this week and in previous weeks as well, because a lot of people are like, should I do this, which causes this downgrade, and then this fund gets moved here, and then that will allow me to do Reinders to SARR. Obviously, Reinders to SARR is about the easiest transfer you'll ever do, but it's often in combination, so it makes it very tricky to make this graphic. But for now, I'm just looking at singular transfers. I have said at the top here, for free versus a -4 hit is very different. So for each of these, I'll discuss how much a -4 hit would put me off making it. So let's start with Virgil van Dijk. Some people asked about GW10 as well. Basically, like a premium defender that isn't an Arsenal defender or Munoz, would I sell them to someone like Timber, Gabriel or Munoz? The straight answer for this is just yes, I would. Like, I'm not saying that Virgil van Dijk is a bad option. His DEFCON has been unbelievable. I do think Liverpool will improve. He's obviously got the ability to score goals as well. And when he does clean, he's often quite good for baseline bonus. However, Van Dijk's just not a good option right now for his price, given how poor Liverpool are defending. And as a team, they're just not fully functioning. When you then look at the Arsenal defence, who are one of the best defences we've ever seen in Premier League history, and also Daniel Munoz, who's playing for a great defence, or at least a decent defence, with great fixtures coming up, and ridiculous attacking threat. Like, Timber, Gabriel, Munoz are just so much better than Van Dijk as options now. What I would say about Van Dijk is the longer you wait, the more I would not like to make the move, because from 13 onwards, they've got brilliant fixtures, Liverpool, along with Manchester City. So this is one of those where I think you need to get it done soon, and if you don't, you will get to a point where I would actually probably say that I would hold Virgil van Dijk. If this is for a hit, no. There aren't many defenders I desperately want to bring in for a hit. I guess if you've not tripled up on Arsenal, and you can literally just do Van Dijk to Gabriel for a hit, that would be slightly tempting. But even that, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't pay off in a single week. So, yeah, I'd like to make it, but probably only for free. Then we move on to Kudus to SARR and Njai to SARR. Kudus to SARR, I've put yellow, I don't mind it. Kudus is one of those players that I feel like you could just keep any given week because he passes the eye test, his minutes are good, and he always feels like he's in and around the returns for Spurs, and he takes set pieces as well. I don't think it's never a bad idea to just hold on to Kudus if you've got other things to sort out. But on the flip side, every single week I'll look at it and just say, you could also sell Kudus this week, because as much as I've just said some positives about him, he shows very little open play goal threat. He seems to be the assister of the assist quite often. And I think that SARR, Njai, Enzo Fernandez, Declan Rice, moving up to the likes of Brian Mbeumo, there are a lot of assets that I'd prefer to Kudus. So if you've got the free transfers, got the money, this is a move I'd be perfectly happy making this week, but I'm not necessarily saying that I would definitely go out there and do it if you're short on transfers or there are other issues to sort out. I've actually said I probably wouldn't do Njai to SARR. If you said I could only own one of these two, I probably would prefer Ismaila Sarr, but I don't think there's that much in it. Njai's on penalties. Fixtures-wise, about comparable, maybe slightly better for Crystal Palace. Open play goal threat, yeah, Ismaila Sarr. I think Njai is more creative. Minutes-wise, they're both good. And yeah, just the addition of penalties for Njai is huge. And I think he's been unfortunate not to get more recently. So I think this is extremely close between the two of them. Again, if you've got 5 frees and there's nothing else to do, feel free to make it. But it feels a bit of a sideways switch for me personally. I've got the pair of them and I'm very happy to own them. Bruno Fernandes to Saka or Mbeumo. Let's deal with Bruno to Saka first. Again, if you're not tripled up on Arsenal and you are literally just saying it's a straight switch, I've got the money in the bank for free to do Bruno to Saka, would I do it? I probably still would rather own Saka, but Saka doesn't come without his issues. We're going to discuss captaincy later, but it's like Burnley on paper looks good, but at Turf Moor, they're slightly better defensively. You can imagine them sitting back and frustrating Arsenal. And after the Burnley game, it's Sunderland who have defended well. And then the fixtures start to turn a little bit. They're still okay, but a little bit worse for Arsenal. And like his open play goal threat just hasn't been great this season. Bruno has been unfortunate probably not to return more. I still think I would rather have Saka. And again, if I had the money and the free transfers to do so, I'd make the switch. Certainly wouldn't do it for a hit. And certainly wouldn't do it if it meant I had to downgrade or sacrifice somewhere else. I'd probably just hold on to Bruno. And in terms of Bruno to Mbeumo, again, if this is just making the switch for the sake of it, there's nothing else you're doing. You're literally just doing Bruno to Mbeumo. I would say I wouldn't do it because I think Bruno and Mbeumo are very, very similar in terms of what I would expect from their output. Yes, value-wise, for 0.7 less, Mbeumo probably is a better asset. But just a straight sideways switch doesn't feel worth the transfer. However, if Bruno to Mbeumo allows you to do like Tarkowski to Timber and João Pedro to Mateta or something like that, that's the money it gives you, all of a sudden that's absolutely worth it. So I would happily do Bruno to Saka for free, and I would only do Bruno to Mbeumo if it frees up the funds to go and do something immediately this week. Otherwise, I would just wait. I wouldn't be surprised if Sesko and Cunha are the two players that do better in this game. Because Mbeumo and even Bruno to some extent, they work best when they play against teams that have a lot of space in behind. Brighton was a great example. Forest are just going to sit back and do Dyche things. And I would imagine that Cunha with these shots from the edge of the box and Sesko being so good in the air, I wouldn't be surprised if they are the two players that benefit the most. But yeah, it's not a bad fixture. But I also don't think that going and getting Mbeumo this week is an absolute must. We then move on to transfers, which we actually discussed last week as well, which is would I sell Gyökeres or João Pedro to Mateta or Waltemada? João Pedro being sold, it, for me, is an easy decision to make. I do have this nagging feeling that João Pedro is going to score a brace at some point soon, right? Because everyone's sold him. We've said he's not taking shots. And in the past, we've done this with assets where we're like, they're not taking shots. They're a terrible asset. But anything can change very quickly in FPL. And in a single game, João Pedro could take a couple of shots and score them. But I don't think you should avoid selling a player just because they might score some goals, because they might take some shots soon. What have you seen over the last 5 or 6 games? João Pedro doesn't shoot. We don't think he's on penalties. We think it's Enzo. I mean, he could be. Even when he played in the 10 last week when Guiu was the 9, still didn't take shots. Enzo Maresca has said that he is struggling with ongoing injury issues, which might be the reason that he's not taking tons of shots, and maybe he's just trying to conserve himself slightly. Like, I haven't seen anything from João Pedro, or even Chelsea, across the last 6 to 8 games, that would, or across the last 6 really, that would make me want to keep João Pedro. On the flip side, you could keep him because he's still a great footballer. He is still playing an advanced role for a team that do create chances. So, yeah, I would happily sell. Like, I would much rather Mateta or Waltemada this week to João Pedro. If it's for a hit, because that is a big question I'm doing, would I sell João Pedro to Mateta for a hit? I wouldn't do that, no. Even after all the stuff I've just said, let's say João Pedro just gets the 2 appearance points, does nothing else, doesn't shoot again, and gets the 2 points. Obviously, taking into account the -4 hit, that means Mateta would have to score 6 points just to pay back the hit. So even if Mateta goes and scores a goal and gets full bonus, which I guess he could do, but Brentford aren't a bad defence, he still only gains you 3 points there. And that's kind of like best case scenario. I don't see Mateta massively hauling this week. And João Pedro still has the ability to go and get a lucky assist or a goal. Like, for me to justify a hit, I would have to be so sure that the player I'm bringing in has a really great fixture and I really fancy him to do well. And also be super confident that the player I'm taking out would blank. So I probably wouldn't do João Pedro to Mateta for a hit. But at the same time, I don't think there's much in it. So if you're just looking at João Pedro, because I was at the same position, just like, I just can't stand looking at this guy on my team, by all means go and do it. And then on Gyökeres to Mateta or Ultimata, I've said I probably wouldn't do that, but I'm just going off the basis that that's the only thing you're doing. If you're literally just selling Gyökeres to Mateta or Ultimata because you don't like Gyökeres, give Gyökeres the Burnley game. I know they defend better at Turf Moor, but it's still a good game. However, again, if Gyökeres to Mateta or Ultimata frees up the ability to go and get Timber and also go and get a SARR for Reinders, if it's part of 3 or 4 moves which massively upgrades your team, then of course at that stage it could be more worth it. Hope that's helped them. But yeah, all of these players that are on this list, Timber, Munoz, SARR, Saka and Burmo, Mateta, Ultimata, these are the players that obviously you do want to be trying to get. And if you fancy going and getting them for a hit and you have to take out a good player to do it, so be it. Have fun with FPL. So guys, let's discuss captaincy because this does feel like a week where you could back against Erling Haaland. I'm not saying that you ever need to at the moment. And if you just want to continue to captain Haaland, that is absolutely fine. And I may well do the same. But you certainly have to say that the best team in the league in Arsenal playing against the worst defence in the league, at least in Burnley, is at least a viable option to go and captain someone else. And as you'll see here, also Arsenal being so brilliant defensively and their defenders carrying such attacking threat also makes the defenders viable. So, my captaincy ranking as of now, and I'll explain why, is Haaland in first, Saka in second, Gabriel and Timber in third and fourth. You could easily switch the pair of them, but Gabriel is just absolutely monstrous. I then got Ultimata in fifth, Gyökeres in sixth, believe it or not, and I will discuss it. Salah in seventh, Mateta in eighth. You'll see there are no Manchester United assets. I just need to see some more consistency from them. And again, I think that Dyche, an away game against the Sean Dyche team, we saw Bournemouth struggled last week. I just don't think that that's necessarily a fixture that I would target with captaincy. There are some other options as well. Calafiori's not on this list. Declan Rice, Eze. You could captain conceivably any of the Arsenal team, and they'd be fine. So, Haaland's in first. I do think that it's very close this week. Like, the difference between Haaland in first and Timber in fourth, I think is, we're talking for me, in my mind, like 1 expected point. So you could certainly justify any of them. Haaland just has ridiculous data. If City score, you think it's going to be him. He has the ability to go and grab 2 or 3 goals. And not many people have that ceiling on a regular basis. Like, yeah, Gabriel and Timber could go and get 20. But on a regular basis, Haaland is pushing double digits. If you look at the bookies odds, 0.91 projected goals. The closest to that on this list is Mateta with 0.6. He's got a 60% chance of scoring 1+ goal. And he's at home. If this was Bournemouth away, I'd be like, hang on a second. Not even a home fixture for Haaland. And also, I suppose, if it was Burnley at home for the Arsenal assets. But the fact that it's a home fixture for Haaland, an away fixture for Arsenal, I just still do marginally have Haaland ahead of the Arsenal boys. But there is so much justification, like I say, to go and captain the Arsenal players. I'm seeing a lot of people right now saying Burnley are just so good at home. They've only conceded 2 goals at Turf Moor this season. And they have only conceded 2 goals at home. I know people don't love XG. And when I tweeted this, people were like, how about you just go and watch a game with your eyes, touch grass, Ross? Burnley have conceded 6 XG at home this season in 4 games. They're averaging 1.5 XGC per game. That's not great. And I know they've only conceded 2, but that would suggest to me, unless you're just saying that Dubravka is the best goalkeeper the world's ever seen, they've probably been quite fortunate to only concede a couple of goals. So I'm not buying into too much this being a difficult fixture for Arsenal, but certainly something I will concede is that this would be an easier game if it was at the Emirates. So that might be something to slightly put you off. And I suppose if I'm looking at this, I could see Burnley frustrating Arsenal. I don't see Burnley scoring particularly, especially when you see how good Arsenal have been defensively. So maybe the Arsenal defence are better than Saka. I just can't shake the feeling that like Saka, a midfielder, extra point. By the way, Saka gets a point for a clean sheet too. Extra point for a goal in comparison to the forwards. He didn't play too many minutes midweek. Like, I feel really good about Saka this week. And even to some extent, like I say, Gyökeres, Rice, Eze as well. You could go for any of the attackers that you think will start. But Saka is always that guy, and I do still think Saka is first choice penalty taker. We've seen, by the way, if you're expecting Gabriel to score from a set piece, it could also be Declan Rice, by the way, but Saka takes half the set pieces from the other side. So I just feel like he's got multiple routes to points, and I do think he's got a higher ceiling. Now, if I was to say, why would you not want to captain Saka? Again, Burnley, I could see frustrating Arsenal in the early parts of this game. I could also see Saka getting an early sub. If Arsenal were 2 or 3 goals up in the 60th minute, he could easily come off. And it might be that he wasn't involved in those, or he only has a single goal or assist. And obviously, Gabriel with a clean sheet, an attacking return, bonus points. You'd imagine probably won't get DEFCON in a game such as Burnley, but I suppose you never know. Maybe he does have the slightly higher ceiling. And also, Saka's open play goal threat this season has been poor. He's averaging about 0.1 non-pen XG per 90. So I'm finding it tricky because there are a lot of things that I don't like about Saka, but there are also a lot I do. And I suppose if I'm on the fence with it at that stage, just captain Haaland. Again, I've been saying recently that I need to be super convinced and confident to captain another asset. And all of these things that I'm saying, which might make him not that great, probably means I'm not ready to do so. But yeah, Gabriel and Timber, if you want to go different with captaincy, like Arsenal are the best defence in Europe. They have got one of the easier fixtures in the Premier League for defenders. They're good for bonus points. Timber's got really good attacking threat. Like 0.29 non-penalty expected goal involvement. Gabriel's isn't that great, but then again, Gabriel is just so brilliant in the air. Again, good for bonus points as well, the pair of them. There is a lot to like about them. So I don't want to put you off the Arsenal assets by any means. I am very, very tempted myself, but at the moment, I am just leaning towards Haaland. The other thing that I was thinking about, and this is more emotional than anything, and I'm not suggesting that you should make decisions this way, but sometimes I do, and I'd like to be honest about that. I would be delighted if Saka scores anyway. Saka scoring would make me very, very happy from an FPL perspective because he's quite lowly owned. So yes, if Saka scored as my captain, that would make me doubly happy. But if Saka goes and gets a 15-pointer, my thought isn't going to be, I wish I'd captain him if I captain Haaland. It would just be, yes, I've gone and got a brace from Bukayo Saka. Whereas if I captain Saka and Haaland goes big and Saka blanks, that is game over disaster. So it's a little bit fearful, but it's also like FPL is meant to be played by human beings that want to have fun. And as a human being, you have to take emotions in. And I think I would just be a little bit more relaxed going into the weekend, knowing that if Saka does well, I gain points anyway, and just covering off that Haaland captaincy. So yeah, I think I have enough doubts as of right now that I am leaning Haaland. Other players, like I said, Wildcard against West Ham, they've been awful recently. He's been fantastic. He's a great finisher. Should be on penalties. There's a lot to like about him. Gyökeres, I've put him on the list because, again, he's the number 9 player for Arsenal. He might take a pen, especially given that he's struggling for goals and form. You could see Saka giving it to him, especially if Saka's already scored in the game. Salah. I mean, you always have to consider Salah. Against Aston Villa at home, they've not defended particularly well this season. He obviously is coming off the back of a goal himself. Maybe that'll be the confidence boost he needs. I could see them scoring quite a few goals in this game, Liverpool. And then Jean-Philippe Mateta, I mean, I've disregarded him here down in 8th because I think Brentford are a little bit better than people give them credit for. But he's had a bit of a rest midweek. He only played 45 minutes. His data's been great. He's on penalties. He also deserves consideration too. So there we go. I do think personally it's probably Haaland or an Arsenal player or maybe Wildcard. Outside of that, I don't see it massively, but this isn't a bad week to back against the popular captain. So if you've got a gut feeling, follow through with it. So guys, just on benching decisions, I do this graphic every single week, and if all of this you've enjoyed so far and you're not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. We discuss captaincy, benching decisions, those key transfers every single Friday before the deadline. So yeah, let's discuss benching decisions right now. I think Semenyo was the one that a lot of people were asking on, just given that he's been exceptional this season, and he's a bit of a big game player quite often too. But City away comparatively, even if you've got like a Granit Xhaka this week or a Longstaff, like they're obviously not better assets than Semenyo, but they do have much better fixtures. And then you look at some people's defences, you've got like Alderete, Richards, Anderson, obviously the Arsenal boys. There are Mukiele, Rodon. Like, you've got defenders that also have good fixtures. So where would I place Semenyo was the big benching decision that I was getting. So to read it out for those that are listening, I've got Njaya, Enzo, Munoz right at the top, exceptional. Foden with his minutes recently, home fixture quite high up. Gakpo, Minte, Thiago, then Semenyo, then João Pedro, then Bowen. So in terms of attackers in and around him, I've got him slightly higher than João Pedro because I think he's got a trickier fixture, but he's just a better asset. But I've got him below the likes of Gakpo, Minte and Thiago because I think these assets are good. I'd expect them to start. And also they've got better fixtures overall. So yeah, that's roughly where I have Semenyo. So I've still got him quite high. Like I've got Tarkowski, Anderson, Xhaka, Gay, Richards, Kudus, all below Semenyo, because I think at some point, like I do think as a creator and as an FPL manager, I probably do overemphasize the importance of a fixture. If someone's just very good at football and getting a higher quantity of chances, then they should be placed higher up even with a tricky fixture. So I've got maybe Semenyo higher than you might expect. In terms of defenders, like I really rate Tarkowski still. I didn't want to sell him. I had to fund stuff. But Sunderland are not a great attack. They're a very good defence. Like I should emphasise how good of a defence they are, but they are not a great attack. So I would have Tarkowski quite high up. Obviously, with the news that Joachim Andersen is in contention, I would have him quite high. Granit Xhaka I really like this week. He's just so good for DEFCON every week on set pieces. Does get the odd chance from open play as well. Obviously, the Crystal Palace defenders I quite like against Brentford. I wouldn't necessarily have them super high up, just given that I wouldn't be surprised if Brentford score in this game. Kudus is maybe quite far down. I don't think Chelsea are as bad a defence as the data suggests. They've had a lot of red cards in there. And again, not much open play goal threat. And then Tijani Reinder's quite low down as well, just because I just don't rate him as an asset right now. Yeah, he could always get an assist or a goal, but I've not seen too much from him. He's playing a deeper role quite a lot too, so don't love that. And the other final one I got a lot of questions around was Rodon and Senesi. I think Leeds have been a better defence than Bournemouth this season, if you look at XGC. Rodon has the slightly better fixture overall. Senesi better for DEFCON. There's probably not much in it, but on my bench right now, I've got Rodon first sub, Senesi second sub. I put Van de Ven last. Do not expect a 23-pointer from Van de Ven every week. I don't see a reason why you'd want to start him this week personally. So there we go. Those are my opinions on your benching decisions. As always, trust your gut feeling. So I was getting lots of questions this week around free hit and wildcard for people that have activated the chips. I will just note we do have a small chance of a blank game week 17 and a double game week 16 after Crystal Palace progressed in the FA Cup, or the EFL Cup I should say. So if you've not already activated the free hit, I would hold it just on the off chance that we do get that blank. And I'll probably discuss blanks and doubles in the near future when we get a bit more information. But yes, hold the free hit if you've not already activated. If you have, I quite like it this week. You can own whichever triple Arsenal you want. Here I've suggested that you own Gabriel, Timber and Saka. But if you want to differentiate slightly, you could go for Calafiori instead. Or you could go for an Eze or a Rice as long as you think they'll start. You could even go for someone like a Trossard if you think he'll start too. So there is some fun that you can have with it. But those, for me, are the three best Arsenal assets. I would have a Newcastle defender. I've gone for Nick Pope here in defence. I would absolutely have Munoz, whether that be free hit or wildcard. He's just such a good asset. In terms of maybe slightly differential options in here, like I've got Walter and Gordon. Like, I don't think Gordon's been exceptional from an FPL perspective, but West Ham does feel great. If Raul Jimenez was confirmed fit, available and starting, I would have quite liked him in there. And then just because I don't have much funds, I've gone for Minter. But if you have the funds to go for like an Ismail Assar instead, you can absolutely do so. So yeah, have some fun with the free hit. And I don't think it's a bad week to play it. In terms of wildcard, I actually quite like the wildcard this week too. What are the big differences? I don't have great money, team value, so I can't actually get Saka into a team that I like. So basically, I've gone for Pope in goal, Gabriel and Timber as my only two Arsenal. You could go triple. I've left that third spot open in case I want to get to an Arsenal attacker or in case I'm just absolutely sure I've made a mistake and I want to go back to triple Arsenal defence. I've got Munoz in there too, so quite an expensive defence. Midfield then of Mbeumo, Semenyo, Ndiaye and SARR. I think that's very solid. With Longstaff on the bench, you could go for Xhaka too. And the front three that everyone would want probably right now, which is Haaland, Mateta and Walter. My bench then is Dubravka, Rodon, Longstaff and Joachim Andersen. I think it's a really solid wildcard. Again, you might have a lot better team value than me, in which case you can maybe look to upgrade Longstaff, or you can maybe look to upgrade Rodon, or even Dubravka if you want a slightly better second goalkeeper. But I think largely, you could also just keep some money in the bank as well. So there we go. Those are free hit and wildcard drafts. Obviously, feel free to pause, have a look at them in a bit more detail. For me, if I was to choose one of the chips to play this week, I'd go wildcard. Other opportunities for free hit, maybe if we get blanks and doubles, like I said. Otherwise, 13 and 15, I've seen a lot of people looking at, look pretty good. And then with the wildcard, if you're not playing it this week and you've still got it available, I think your best opportunity is either Game Week 12, post-international break, or Game Week 13, when Liverpool and City enter really nice fixture runs. So then, guys, just to finish up with my own team, obviously, I have not actually refreshed it. Have they got rid of Anderson and Richards' flags? No, they still haven't. So in goal, I've got Pope. My back three at the moment is Anderson, Gabriel, Richards. Obviously, two of them flagged, but I'm hoping at least one of them starts. And then if one of them doesn't feature at all, I'll be very happy to get Rodon. And even if both miss out, I've got Rodon and Senesi. I don't think they're great this week either of them, but they're perfectly viable. They could get Defcon, and you could just get lucky, like last week with Rodon scoring a goal despite conceding. The midfield for them, Semenyo, Saka, SARR, and Jai, actually very, very happy with the way this looks. Obviously, Anton Stack is my fifth midfielder, tuck third sub, and then my front three is Gyökeres, Mateta, and Haaland. As I said, I'm leaning towards Haaland captain now, but I might be convinced on the deadline stream tomorrow to just do something a little bit brave and go against Haaland. So really, that is it. Captaincy I need to think about, and then I need to just hope that two of my players are fit and available in the defence. I already made my 3 transfers, by the way. So the 3 transfers this week were Richards, SARR, Mateta, in for Tarkowski, Reinders, and João Pedro. And this is the way that the team looks. So no available free transfers, 0 in the bank. But I'm really happy now with how the team looks. In terms of future plans, I'd quite like to bench boost next week if everyone's fit and available. I am not going to touch the bench boost if I'm having to make transfers to fix injured players. But if everyone's fit and available, I think I'll bench boost. The only decision then would be, do I think Stack starts? Because if he does, he's not a good asset, but I'd still probably just bench boost with him. But if I'm doubtful about whether he starts, I will have up to 5 million to replace Stack, which basically comes down to GW10 or Longstaff. I can't get to Xhaka now, unfortunately. So yeah, Stack to GW10, Stack to Longstaff. And I'd be fairly happy. They're both 4.9 million. So even if Stack goes down, I can still afford it. And then, yeah, bench boost that 15, which looks quite good for Game Week 11. So that's where I'm currently stood right now. But yeah, for Game Week 10, I'm feeling pretty happy and confident with this team. Captaincy is the only final discussion point. If there's anything that I've not answered in today's video that you would like me to answer, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll go through as many as possible as well. So guys, there we have it. That is my Game Week 10 deadline decisions and final thoughts. Hopefully that has been helpful for you. And if it has, please do smash that like button and make sure to subscribe as well. I really appreciate it. If you want more content from me that's away from FPL, I have created a geography and GeoGuessr channel recently called GeoRaptor. I'll try to remember to link it down below, but if not, just go on YouTube, type in GeoRaptor. It's also pinned at the top of my YouTube channel on FPL Raptor as well. There's plenty of content to go and watch there. Thank you for the support. Until next time, bye-bye.